Hello, Thunder Wizards. Well, good morning. It's morning for me, and wow, it's been quite a few. Well, it's been an intense few days in a good way. So I put up a video 2 or 3 days ago, and I had forgotten to turn the sound on. So it was really wonderful, and I was having all these feelings and all that. But oh well. Um, But I have moved down the street, and I now am, in fact, directly across from right here. And I have surfed that place a couple of times now and learned a valuable lesson about the sun down here. Holy crap, even though it's winter, uh, I went out a couple of days ago when it was clear, and even though I put on huge amounts of sunscreen on my head, I spent 2 or 3 hours out surfing in that sun directly on my bald head, and I believe I got some heat stroke because I got feverish and wow, and my head was really hot. Even though I had put on that sunscreen, which prevented me from getting super burned, I still got a lot of apparently a lot of UV rays. The sun down here is just crazy strong. Anyway, so thankfully I found some new stuff which they call surf mud, which is, it's really weird because this stuff actually does block the sun out. And it looks like, women's makeup, like foundation. It's just this dark brown stuff you put all over well, for me, all over my head. And it stays on there. But I had been putting on sunscreen, which after, 45 minutes or an hour loses its effectiveness. So anyway, it's interesting that they can't call this stuff, which actually does block out the sun and is natural, they can't call that sunscreen. But they can only call the fakes, the chemical stuff. That's, you can call that sunscreen. And anyway, it's just weird how stupid the laws are. Anyway, now I know. So I had my own little um, initiation experience with the sun down here. So I've been here long enough. It hasn't been that long. It's been, what has it been? Today is the 21st, and I got here, when did I get here? 14th, so that's about a week, right? Has it been? It's been about a week. And so I've been here long enough to gauge if my fantasies about this place were accurate. And all the time that I spent after my first visit here, and all the fantasies that were running through my head about, this being my home and my body really liking it here, and my experience of all the people and all the other stuff. And my memories were correct. It is everything that I remembered and more. I want to. I kind of vacillate between, it's my own projection, and I want to enjoy this, so I am, with my projection, creating all the wonderful things, which has to be true because that's what I teach. I also believe that there's karmic, destiny or log stuff that um, dictates these kinds of things. So, it starts creating the question: did I create it because I was, I've chosen to create this from previous lifetimes, that I have, past life stuff here or future life stuff here? What my feeling about this land is that I just feel so comfortable, and I feel so accepted, and I feel so loved here. And The challenge that I'm facing now is, the idea that, I can't just settle in and call it home because legally, I'm only allowed to be here for 3 months at a time, and then I have to leave the country and come back. And that's only if I have a travel visa, which isn't that hard to get. But, I can't really say this is my home, this is where I belong. But everything in my body tells me otherwise. Everything in my body tells me this is where I belong, this is my home. I haven't been to New Zealand yet. Well, I was there 35 years ago. It was a long time ago. But I can't escape this feeling that there's something for me in New Zealand as well. Except that I'm pretty sure I wouldn't want to live there full time just because of the cold. It's too cold down there. Summertime here has been very nice. Gets a little chilly at night. This house that I'm in doesn't have a heating system, but they provided me with a space heater and an oil heater, which I have to set up myself, which I haven't done yet. But that brings me to another thing again, and I don't know if this is just my own projection, but the people here are just so freaking nice. Really, they're just, and this is technically out in the country. I mean, it's not really in the country, but it's not in the city. It's a small town comparative to other big cities, but maybe that's what it is. But the people here are just so incredibly nice and really sweet. I mean, everybody smiles at you, and it's not a fake smile. When I go up to the counter to get something and they look at me and they smile, I'm not even going to try and fake it, but this whole smile takes over their face. And I don't know if it's this area, but the people are just, everybody looks like a model. Everybody's just really beautiful. And it's just like, it feels like I've gone into some limbo, one of my own weird limbo places. And it makes me think, what the hell happened to the United States? We're descended from the same culture, the same people. I'm descended directly from people who came over, not on the Mayflower, but on those ships. I mean, I can trace my ancestry back to the first English settlers that came over here. And, the people who, ended up founding this country were from the same stock. And they've just turned out to be, they seem just so nice and so friendly. And there's this whole, family culture that I don't see in the U.S. I mean, again, it could just be my projection. Maybe I just want to see maybe I'm just selectively seeing the good things. But I think honestly, there's just a lot of something really different here. And I can't help feeling that the land doesn't have something to do with it. My experience of the land here is that it's just incredibly loving, and I feel a very strong feminine presence here, and it's changed a lot of the way that I react and respond to people. I think I've only run into one or two people that I found to be, not very nice. And I'm sure that, that there are. I mean, I keep hearing about all these problems in the cities and, racial problems and crime and drugs and stuff like that. I haven't seen any of that here. I've already made friends, and, almost immediately somebody invited me to some meditation thing. I mean, so that was nice. And, I've still been kind of physically catching up. I had some pretty heavy jet lag, which I think I've gotten over. But like it's 8 o'clock now, and I got up I think an hour and a half ago, which is late for me here. I was getting up before dawn, falling asleep at like 8:30 or 9 at night, and then waking up before dawn. And looking at the dark ceiling for an hour before I got out of bed. But I've been surfing my brains out past few days, and so I've been, and I'm gonna rest today, go take care of some stuff, drive into the town further down, which has all the. Anyway, I won't get into that. But I wish that other video had gone through, because I said I was having a lot of feelings, and I was really deep into the experience. But one thing I'll share with you, which is I want to hold on to, which is that I was hiking along the bluffs over here, and a really beautiful hiking track. It's not a trail, it's a track. They call it a track. Was on this hiking track, and they have over here they have eagles, and they have ospreys that hunt along the shoreline. And this osprey, I was walking along, and this osprey was, I'm not even going to say flying, because it wasn't flying. It didn't move. When I've seen plenty of birds of prey, and they adjust and they move, and they'll flap their wings a little bit, and the feathers will, and it's really beautiful, and they soar and they glide. This wasn't doing any of those things. It was just levitating. And it didn't move a muscle. It looked like an alien spacecraft that was levitating and using, magnetic fields to move around. And I was mesmerized by it. And it wasn't so much the way that it looked, but it had this. I could feel something from it. It was like anyway. I started like weeping. It was so beautiful. Been doing a lot of weeping since I got here. And I decided that was going to be one of my teacher animals, because I wanted to do that. I wanted to be able to levitate, and the word, I don't even want to use the word glide, because glide isn't what it was doing. It was levitating, and it was moving by intention. This is how it looked. It was just that its intention was gliding it. It was slipping like a knife through butter. It was just, I wish I could explain better, but I've never seen a bird move like that. And I left with that feeling of that's how I want to move through life. Like that osprey, with seemingly zero effort, and without any, I don't know, I don't know how to explain it. So I did a ritual at this meditation thing I was invited to, and let go of my past up until this point to the best of my ability here. And I really want to try, I hope I can pull this off. I really want to try and start over, and just make the decision about how I want to be. And there's just something about this part of the world, this piece of land, this continent. It's the first continent that rose out of the ocean. It's got the oldest rocks in the world here. I feel the ocean is friendlier to me. I feel like the land is friendlier to me. I feel a calmness that I can't remember ever having. And now, with hindsight, I'm looking back at my life in the U.S., and I've never felt comfortable there. I've never felt welcomed. I've never felt at ease there. The closest that I felt at ease was when I was up in the Sierras. If anybody's ever been up to the Sierras, you know what I'm talking about. That is an incredibly powerful area. Those mountains, all made of granite. 14,000 foot mountains for, hundreds of miles. That's a very powerful zone on the planet. But this this rivals that. It's a completely different feeling. You know, if that would be really high yang energy, really high level yang vibrational energy, and this would be, for me, very yin energy, very feminine, very grounding. And so I want to use, I want to get rid of all that. And my life up till this point in the US, it felt like I was paying off just a huge amount of karma. It was, it was constant work. So everything that I teach you guys about not being a victim and choosing to to do the work to make your life work for you, I really lived that. Nothing was easy for me. And I'm not saying that to get any sympathy, because there's no payoff in being a victim. There's just no payoff. If you're going through and you're living through a life, and you can see this in somebody's chart, one of the things you want to look for in a chart is if you don't have planets in the Kendra houses, the first, the fourth, the seventh, and the 10th. If all of your planets are in the second, the 6th, the 8th, the 11th, that means that this life is a life of work. You're going to work your ass off in this life. And you're going to work your ass off to, to gain what you need. And so it doesn't serve to be a victim. It just doesn't. And this is, what I teach. I teach practical ways to work through that. And I think that a lot of people who are attracted to my channel are people who have that. They're in this life, they've got a lot of work to do. And you're working off old stuff from previous lives. And that's why I just don't have any patience or any, I got an email today from somebody that my experience was that the person was just whining and complaining about, not wanting to do the work. I didn't say anything harsh, but, there's no benefit in complaining. It accomplishes nothing. And that's a really great attitude to have, to ask yourself, is what I'm doing accomplishing anything? I learned that, being angry was just a temper tantrum. Not having angry feelings, but, having an attitude about life and going around and having an attitude. It's just having a temper tantrum. And a temper tantrum is nothing more than trying to manipulate the universe into giving you what you think you want. And the universe will never respond to that. The universe is not codependent. And if, no matter how challenging your life is, no matter where you are, no matter what's in front of you, I guarantee you there is something practical that you can do. And it may be a lot of work, and it may look like it'll take forever. But there's something practical in front of you that you can do that will begin to take you on a path towards freedom and to where you want to be. And again, those 5 rules to master the matrix, neo.thunderwizard.com. It's again, if you haven't got that, you're doing yourself a disservice. Because listen, I'm not one of those teachers that comes on here to give you cotton candy and platitudes to make you feel better. I don't want to not make you feel better. If I can make you feel better, I will. But I'm far more interested in if making you feel better actually gets you to take action to transform your life. I'm more interested in giving you the tools, the practical tools, to help you to change your life. And that's what I give. And the 5 rules to master the matrix, you don't have to try and change the way you feel. You just understand that the universe responds to certain laws, and if you want them to respond in your favor, there's certain ways to do it. And one of them is you got to drop the victim mentality. That anytime that you respond or act out of a victim mentality, the the worse things get for you. It's set up that way so that eventually you will just wake up and go, okay, fine, I'll stop complaining. What can I do to make my life better? I'll give you an example. I got here to this is the second house I've been to since I got here. And I had, because I'm staying here a month, I had asked the people, the owners, if they would supply a, like a toaster oven, because they don't have an oven here. They've got a microwave and a grill and a hot plate and all that, or whatever you call that, where you know, they got a dishwasher, but they don't have an oven and they don't have a heater. Anyway, it's an older beach shack. So anyway, so I had asked them I asked them where I could buy a toaster oven and buy a space heater. And they said, don't worry, we'll provide it. And I went, oh, great. I was happy to buy it and leave it as a gift, but they said they would buy it. So I showed up. I got here on the day that, my rental began. And I came in and I saw that none of those things had been supplied. And I could have gotten really angry about it. And, for a split second, I thought about contacting them and saying, hey, you guys said you were going to do this and you were going to do that. And here's all the other things that are wrong with this place. And, and I was going to do all that stuff. And I decided, I made a decision that I'm here. Throughout the time that I'm here, I'm a guest in this country. And I am not going to get into any squabbles with anybody for any reason whatsoever. I refuse. I refuse to let anything that anybody does upset me. And so I laughed it off, and I said it didn't bother me because it would cost me, barely $100 Australian, which for me is, a lot less because U.S. currency's got more value. And I could drive into town and get it myself. So I did. I drove into town and I walked around and I learned all kinds of other things about my phone and all that kind of stuff, and then I bought a space heater and a toaster oven. And as soon as I was pulling back in to the driveway to this house, there was a car in front of me, and I thought it was lost, and it pulled up around into the backyard, and I thought, holy crap. And I could see there were elderly people. I'm like, oh, these old people are really lost. And I get out and I say, hi, can I help you? And these two people come out, and it's the parents of the owners, and they are showing up with the oven and the heater. And, and they were so nice. And I just had to laugh at myself because I had in the back of my car, thankfully, I hadn't pulled them out and was carrying them in. Thankfully, they hadn't seen it. But I just had to laugh at myself. I spent all afternoon, walking around some big mall in the city further down, which, wasn't the way I wanted to spend the afternoon. Had I just lied on the couch and watched Netflix, they would have showed up with it. And it was just, another sign that if you just don't work that hard, and if you do not just have a positive attitude but trust and take action based on your trust, the universe is going to provide. It's going to provide everything that you need. And so I'm really grateful that I didn't cause all that tension but I was also really glad because I even though that first split second my instinct wanted to go there, I said, that's what I used to do. I'm not going to do that now. And I didn't. And I made the best of it, and I enjoyed myself. So anyway, I really wish that other video had gone through. So today I'm taking the day off from surfing, which usually just kicks the crap out of me. And I'm going to get back to doing some video work, which I know I need to get up for my Patreon channel. And for those of you who have my direct phone number and everything like that, that's going to change. Starting today, I'm going to go in and switch my phone over. People will still, be able to reach, still be able to reach me and text me, but it's going to be on like a Google, a Google phone thing, which means that it doesn't go directly to my phone. So anyway, this message wasn't nearly as poignant and emotional as the other one that didn't have any sound, but that's where I'm at. It's all working. I'm really excited to see where my friendships are going to go with people out here, and the how comfortable and happy I am, and how much exercise I'm getting, and how much I just feel so expansive here, and I didn't feel like that in the States anymore. And I'm realizing how much I did not relate to Americans, and I still don't. I know I talk like one. I've got an American accent, and I still, if I'm not careful, I still end up drifting over to the right side of the road when I'm tired. And other little things like that. But I am so much more comfortable here, and I feel like I relate to these people so much more than I do to Americans, and I'm tired of watching Rome burn. Anyway, so that's it for me this time, reinventing myself. I will keep you guys posted. I think there's a lot more really good stuff coming my way, but this has been a good week, and I've had a good initiation, and I'm really tired in a good way, and hopefully I'll burn off all the extra weight that I gained this past winter from sitting at home and not surfing and all of that. So all right, guys, I will keep you posted, and it's Friday here, so we'll get started on doing some more videos. And again, if I'm just gonna, I'll probably keep doing it. But if what you've been doing has been, you've been watching my channel, and if your main interaction with me is to watch these videos on the free channel, you're welcome to keep doing that. But I strongly recommend, at the very least, that you go up here and you get, especially if you're somebody who struggles with life, if you feel like you don't belong and you feel like life has it in for you and you struggle with money, I strongly recommend you go to neo.thunderwizard.com and get that package. At the very least, get the 5 rules to master the matrix. You owe it to yourself. Seriously. Again, I don't have sympathy for people who complain about money, especially when it's, I'm not charging you $10,000 for something. I know you spend money on things like car and cell phone. Again, it came back to me again today. My experience is that every person that has struggled with money and has complained to me about having to pay for stuff that they think that they want from me, even if it's something really cheap, that in my experience, and it just came back again today, there's that victim mentality just prevents you from having what you want. And instead of complaining, just go get it. Just get it. I really recommend that you get the 5 rules to master the matrix. It's probably the most valuable practical teaching that I have. And if you can apply it and get over yourself, you can see your life change. You may not feel better emotionally, and that's okay, because emotions, we got to have our emotions. But if you can take practical action and not, sabotage it and look for reasons to, find something wrong in everything. If you can apply it and be diligent about it and keep doing it, your life will change. You will emotionally go through some changes, but your life will change. I guarantee it. And I know because I've lived it, and I'm not somebody who floated down from, one of the things that bugs the crap out of me when it comes to spiritual teachers is that, especially people who need it, people who really need spiritual teachings are the ones who are drawn to the cotton candy. I've never seen this woman, so I can't judge her. I only know my judgment from what she does. She's the hugging saint. People go, and I don't know if they spend money or if they donate money or how much it costs to stand in line and get hugged by some woman. And that's, and they want to focus on how, really? They'll spend money for that. But they won't put effort into actually doing something practical to change their life. So do something. Do something practical, regardless of how you feel, to change your life. And I'm saying that because I'm living this. I'm one of the benefits that I have. Again, I could complain about, why won't the Australian government let me move here permanently? All I'm doing is I'm coming here and I'm bringing money to them. I'm not a drain on their society. I've got my own income. Why? It's age discrimination. I'm in better health than most people, which kind of isn't true here. A lot of people are in really good health. I mean, one of the things that, I come out of the water, it's so different here. The vibe here is so different. Surfers in California, most of them are assholes. And the vibe is really aggressive and really competitive in Southern California. And so, you go there with armor on because if you're going to paddle out with a group of people that, people are going to bump into you and people are going to cut you off and, you might even get into a fight depending on where you are. And here, everybody's so mellow, probably because there's so much room. I mean, there's plenty of waves for everybody. And, it's a surf culture. And, I'm walking out of the water and I see all these old men, with big, huge beards and gray hair and at least my age or older. And they're either coming down with surfboards or with, a lot of them, have these groups of swimmers and they go out and they got their swim fins and they're all in good shape, and it's just this whole culture here. They're really in good shape down here. I could complain about why the Australian government won't let me be a citizen and it's unfair, but I've got this really great opportunity. And the opportunity is, because I'm not guaranteed anything, I appreciate everything I've got. Every day that I have down here. This is my house for a month. I live in a beach house in Australia in front of so far, my fantasy surf spot. This is my life. This is where I live. And it cost me $1,000 less per month to live here than it did to live, in Los Angeles, 3 blocks from the beach. That was polluted and overcrowded and, had sometimes good surf, sometimes not. And I have to leave the country every 3 months and I get to go to New Zealand and check that place out. I get to do that. And because of that, I get to live in the moment and appreciate it. And one thing I learned from watching my partner pass is that nobody is here permanently. Everything is illusion. The illusion that you get to live anywhere permanently is just that. It's an illusion. You're just visiting. No matter where you are, no matter what you are, you're just visiting. Nobody gets a permanent visa. Everybody has a travel visa, and your visa will expire, and you will have to leave the country. Willingly or otherwise. And it doesn't serve me to do anything other than enjoy what I have. And so I want to continue with that understanding, with that mindset. And anyway, all right, so I'm done babbling. That's it. All right, guys. So I will be back probably later tonight, and we'll see. I'm going to drive into town. I'm going to return those things that I unnecessarily bought, and I'm going to get a new phone card so that I can have a local phone number and all of that. Anyway, I'm tired. A lot of surfing. All right, I'll talk to you guys later.